Hello and welcome to Weird Around Illinois. Today we're going to go back to talking about one of our favorite subjects, Dogman. There are a lot of Dogman sightings out there, and there are a lot of animals out there, and there are a lot of possible cases of mistaken identity. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the natural things that might be mistaken for Dogman. Let's get weird. The first thing you need to know about Dogman sightings is that very rarely does someone get a full-on look at Dogman from a short distance in clear lighting. Usually it's Dogman is running across a road, Dogman is somewhere deep in the woods and you see him through like 15 trees, or Dogman is running at a high rate of speed, or you're running at a high rate of speed to get away from Dogman. So there are a lot of things that can affect your perspective on what you're actually looking at, and it makes it sometimes kind of questionable as to whether you're actually seeing a Dogman or another animal or another human or anything else. So let's talk about some of the basic attributes of Dogman. I mean, most people describe them as having like a dog's head, like especially a German Shepherd head. So that would be like a long snout, probably like short pointy ears. What color fur have we heard for Dogman? I think there's been a few.
Gray, black, brown, really anything that often matches its environment.
I've usually heard 6 to 7 feet tall, and the reason they know this is because he's usually standing upright, which is why most people are able to distinguish him from a wolf.
Yeah, long claws, super muscular.
Depending on who you ask, some say that he might even have like opposable digits on his claws so he can hold things like a human or a primate would.
Right, something that can just in some way look down upon you.
When they talk about the legs of Dogman, they often talk about him having like a backward bend, like a dog would, where the knee kind of goes the wrong way. That's actually not quite true. I think the way it works out is the knee is much, much lower on dogs and canines so that it looks like an ankle, and that you're talking about a whole different joint when you're looking. Or maybe I've got that reversed. Maybe the ankle is higher. I don't know. It's at any rate, what we think is the knee isn't really the knee on some canines, and that's why it seems to bend a weird way. So those are all the things that you might see as an attribute to Dogman, and let's see how those might be mistaken for something else, or something else might be mistaken for that. Let's talk about some possibilities here.
Yeah, so one thing that they're often mistaken as is bears. Because bears are really big, they sometimes like stand up, and they have like a pointy snout kind of. Not that pointy, but I could see why someone could mistake it.
Yeah, I mean, when a bear stands up, I could definitely imagine that's worth saying that like it's staring upon you, or like down upon you in a very scary way. You do not want to be near those things.
Yeah. Now, in general, I picture bears as being a little bulkier than Dogman.
Right.
And they don't stand for long, usually. Like, you'll rarely see a bear standing and walking. Usually he's like leaning up against a tree or just standing up to tower over something and then going back on all fours. But if you're only seeing it for a brief bit of time and you're looking at it on a foggy night when most people see Dogman across a great distance, and you just see something big and hairy with a long snout standing up, I could easily see them mistaking a bear.
Yeah, I can certainly see that, but there are a lot of reports of people seeing Dogman running.
Yeah, with the great speeds and jumping as well.
The other thing is, I guess we should point out, is that Dogman is not often seen by city people. You know, it's not like people who are stockbrokers and accountants run into Dogman on a regular basis. Usually it's people who spend a fair amount of time in the woods, and almost every Dogman account you hear is prefaced by, okay, I know what a bear looks like, I've seen bears up close and personal, this wasn't a bear.
So another thing they're mistaken as is wolves or coyotes, two fairly common animals in some woods, not all.
I guess you could probably link all canines into that. I suppose they could be mistaken for a really big dog, too.
Yeah, like a German Shepherd.
Yeah, I mean, the facial structure is definitely somewhat similar to many reports.
Right.
Yeah, it has like the snout, kind of like a Dogman does.
Right. And, you know, dogs can stand up on their hind legs. There aren't many breeds that would be 6 or 7 feet tall if they stood on their hind legs, but again, if it's a foggy night and you're driving or you're running for your life, you could maybe get that height off by a foot or two. So yeah, I mean, dogs have to be accepted as a possibility. I think, dogs, wolves, coyotes, all those have to be accepted as a possibility. I mean, I saw a few weeks ago, I saw a wolf or coyote crossing the road in front of me, and my first thought was, Dogman! And then I realized, no, it's on all fours. It's not attempting to stand up at all. It's just a normal canine.
Yeah. Some people do see Dogman not like standing up at all, though. Sometimes they do see him like on all fours.
I've heard that description often when there are packs of Dogman. Like if somebody's in the deep woods and they run across 15 or 20 of them, the rare people who survive that encounter, they'll say that, like the leader was standing and all the others were running around on all fours. But
see, in that case, I could imagine it would be a pack of wolves or something, because they're somewhat big, and if they're moving fast enough, you could easily mistaken it.
Yeah, that's true. And then, you have to ask the question, if the leader is standing and all the others are running, is the leader a Dogman and is everything else a wolf?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, did he evolve from that pack and just become like this next stage of dog or wolf evolution?
Good question.
It opens a whole can of worms when you start to talk about that possibility.
Another animal is deer. They're very common in a lot of woods, and they make a lot of noise in the woods.
They sure do. And it seems like every time we go out in the woods, we're finding a deer.
Whether they're crossing the road or, making loud twig noises, as you said, but they could definitely kind of scare you into thinking there might be something big out there, but really not.
And they're tall. I mean, their head stands pretty high off the ground, and they have a brownish colored fur usually, so at a distance in the woods, yeah, you could mistake a deer for just about anything.
We've even seen one on Bray Road, right?
Yeah, we did.
And of course, our first thought was Dogman.
Right.
We recognized it as a deer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Primates is another one.
Yeah, and there aren't a lot of primates in Wisconsin and Michigan where Dogman is sighted, but, there's always that possibility of one escaping from a zoo or, somebody having a pet or something like that. Obviously not a pet gorilla, but like a pet monkey or something, and people think it's a baby Dogman because it's running along on two legs and hairy.
I would not want to see a runaway gorilla.
No.
On Bray Road.
Yeah. I don't think I want to meet the person who keeps a gorilla as a pet.
Yeah. Nah.
That's even Mike Tyson doesn't do that. He drew the line at tigers.
I could see how gorillas and big, like not just Bigfoot, but maybe even other cryptids can be related in some way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talk about primates, and if people are seeing Dogman in Africa or something, then absolutely it could be a gorilla. But when we talk about large primates in the United States, we're starting to get back into the realm of cryptids again.
And, we've been talking about animals, but now we have to move to the more advanced animals, I guess you could say, humans. Now we've heard about Bigfoot, ghillie suits. We've heard that a lot, but we also have to accept the idea of Dogman ghillie suits.
Yeah.
Honestly, in quite a few movies, there are ghillie suits that could easily be mistaken for a Dogman.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was a famous hoax purported by someone wearing a ghillie suit. And it was specifically a Dogman hoax. It did really look realistic. When I watched it, I kind of knew it was fake, but I didn't know how it was faked. When I saw that it was a ghillie suit, it was like, oh yeah, okay, that's it.
But if you're in your car, heck, even in the woods, and it's completely dark, and you just see a shadow running really fast like a human, you're gonna think that's something really weird. Yeah.
And for those who don't know, a ghillie suit is like a special suit of camouflage that people wear that is kind of shaggy looking so that you can blend into the underbrush. It's got like stuff hanging off of it.
Yeah, and it could easily be designed to, I guess, strike fear for a Dogman, like in that kind of shape.
Yeah, just looks like long hair.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if people are just like trying to troll other people and just putting like those suits on.
Well, you see, that's the other possibility. I mentioned the hoax that was done with the ghillie suit. I mean, there are a lot of ways to pull a Dogman hoax off.
Yeah, one scene, I can't remember what show it was, but there was one clip that they showed where there was some super tall figure running down the road. And you know, it was just black and white pretty much, so you couldn't really notice many details. But it really did seem like a humanoid.
Yeah.
Now I can't remember if this is a Bigfoot show or a Dogman show, but maybe I'll find it later.
Okay. But did it prove to be a hoax, or was it?
Yeah, it was a hoax.
Yeah. And I remember watching the old Weird or What show with William Shatner, where he basically stood up a line of people wearing werewolf masks. And you know, any one of them could have been mistaken for Dogman.
Yeah.
In a way, it makes me wonder if that's what's happening in places like Bray Road or Pulley Hill or whatever.
Yeah, where people are expecting to see a Dogman.
Yeah, because if people are seeing like batches of different sightings, then you never know. There could be just a whole bunch of people in that one area.
Now, see, there were some people on Bray Road who actually admitted to hoaxing people. Some of the homeowners there. Apparently, they were getting trouble with a lot of people like parking their cars on their land and, you know, doing all sorts of things in the middle of the night that they weren't happy about. So they actually admitted that they would put on like costumes and go out and scare people in the middle of the night. Now, it doesn't appear to be the case with any of the famous Bray Road cases. The story is that Linda Godfrey actually weeded out all the ones that were admitted hoaxes when she made her reports. But there were apparently a lot.
Now, we've talked about Bigfoot before, just a few minutes ago. Bigfoot is a large primate, so...
And he's one that people generally accept as more believable than Dogman. Like if you were to put a probability of it actually existing, I think most people would say the probability on Bigfoot is like 60%, the probability on Dogman is like 20%.
Yeah, you think the ability to turn into a Dogman or werewolf is like kind of sorcery in many cases, whereas Bigfoot, that's just a primate. That might have been evolution, might have not been, who knows.
There are a lot of really reasonable people who believe that Bigfoot is out there. Dogman, you have to dig a little bit deeper. You got to find people like us who are, you know, into cryptids, who even know that Dogman exists as a term, much less accept the possibility that he could be real.
Yeah, there's one thing that we've learned through this podcast. It's that people are very like close-minded.
Yes.
They don't branch out much at all, and they won't search on Google for an easy search for like a cryptid or whatever.
No, absolutely not. A lot of people have made up their minds about what they believe in and what they don't believe in, and anything that doesn't fall into their safe realm of belief, they immediately attack.
Yeah.
Now on to a more obvious one, skinwalkers. Skinwalkers can turn into any figure, any human, any tall figure that they really want to imagine. And it could be definitely dangerous to form into a Dogman like that. And it's a Native American kind of cryptid.
Yeah, and you know, we might just be talking about nomenclature here. We might not be talking about a case of mistaken identity. It might just be that Dogman and Skinwalker are the same thing. Or Dogman and Wendigo could be the same thing.
You could mismatch all of them, really.
Yeah.
Into one big figure that can scare a lot of people.
Yeah, and you throw the other terms out there like werewolf and rougarou and loup-garou. You know, we might just be using many different words to describe the same thing. But if a skinwalker is a distinctly different cryptid than a Dogman, it would be really, really easy to mistake one for the other because, you know, the skinwalker can actually be pretending to be a Dogman.
Yeah, and then there was the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Now, this is a more complicated one to connect, really. I mean, there is a similar skull structure, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I know the Wendigo as a super tall thing, almost twice the height.
See, it depends on who you ask or which story you listen to, because I've heard of Wendigo being 19 feet tall.
Yeah, almost 15, I've heard.
Yeah, and I've heard of Wendigos being the size of a normal human being. I think the legends kind of vary from tribe to tribe and region to region, but I guess the reason I throw Wendigo in there is because there's this weird link between Dogman sightings and Wendigo sightings, especially like in the Kentucky area. I know there are a couple witnesses who claimed to see a Dogman, and then a few weeks later they saw a Wendigo at their house.
Oh.
It was almost like, you know, seeing the Dogman in the woods somehow opened this door to this other thing following them home. And then it begs the question, is it another thing or is it the same thing? Did it change shapes or did he mistake one for the other when he saw it the first time?
don't know. That's one thing you see quite often with Dogman. You see someone has one encounter, and then maybe a few hours later, they'll have another encounter with that Dogman.
Yeah, and people love to kind of write that off as, okay, this person's crazy. You know, that they're seeing Dogman everywhere they go. But, you know, we've talked to some pretty reasonable people who they feel like once you have that first sighting, it's like a barrier is broken.
Yeah, something unique about Dogman is that it revisits places for people or, you know, specific areas that have some importance to them.
Right.
Perhaps.
So that's our list so far of things that could be mistaken for Dogman. Again, we're not saying that means that every Dogman sighting is one of these things. We're just saying that, you know, if you're out there looking for Dogman, or if you think you've seen Dogman, these are kind of the things you need to check off the list and say, okay, could it have been a bear? Could it have been a wolf? Could it have been a human? You know, before you immediately jump to the Dogman conclusion, you just have to run it through these filters first. That's certainly what we're going to be doing. So if any of you have seen Dogman or something that looks like Dogman, we'd love to hear about it. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing.